Cowboy Bebop creator Shinichiro Watanabe says he was only able to stomach one scene of Netflix's live action adaptation. Okay, so here's the thing, right? A lot of these Japanese companies, they're like, cool, does the character look like my character? It does. All right, so are you going to use the source material? You guys are? All right, cool. They send it off. And then they're like, cool, we're getting a lot of money. So then they don't really say too much about it. And then by the time it comes out to like, what have you done? Right? What have you done? Right? So it's sort of like Akira Toriyama is like, cool, you guys are going to be making Dragon Ball Evolution. All right, here we go, Fox. I'm going to send it off to you. And then when he's like, I'm coming out of retirement. I'm going to be making Dragon Ball Super, right? I'm going to be making the Dragon Ball Battle of the Gods movie, right? That's what sparked it. It's because of shit that Hollywood comes out with that does not pay respect or love to the original. It's that's the shit you're gonna get. Then no one's gonna like it. Even the creator says, I couldn't even stand that one scene. I watched one scene and I can't even watch it anymore. Confession, I have not watched most popular media. I'm saving them until I have finished my own original story. Cat Orange Whistling. Pedro Pascal was also admitting he was scared of doing scenes as Joel or something relevant. I suspect that he was the reason why it was toned down so much. Yeah, I heard they actually toned down the violence and which we are going to be getting into, Grae, in terms of this. But I know that there's a reason why I found this out today when I was watching episode 2 right before the podcast. They're searching for batteries, right? I think in but in the game they're looking for guns.
Yeah.
So that's the one big thing they changed. So it's because I think it's because of they don't want to glorify guns, even though guns aren't the reason that people are killing people. I think it's the mental, right? It's this people.
Yeah.
That's something that the government can't tackle.
Okay.
That's something
that didn't register to me until you told me. Yeah, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, it's like, oh, look for batteries. I'm like, I don't think that was the original reason. I think the reason why we need firearms, we need guns, right? All right. So it seems it wasn't just fans who were unhappy with Netflix's absolute mishandling of the beloved space western series, as original Cowboy Bebop anime creator Shinichiro Watanabe has admitted that he couldn't bring himself to suffer through more than one scene of the streaming service's live action abomination. That's actually an incredible paragraph. This is well written. The veteran anime director shared his opinion on the widely panned canceled 3 weeks after premiere.
Savage.
2 3
that's such a burn term.
Oh, that's so good. After its premiere adaptation, during a recent career retrospective interview given to Forbes' Ollie Barder, following the brief look back on his past portfolio, including such works as Blue Comet SPT, Leisner, Gundam 0083, and of course Cowboy Bebop, Watanabe was asked on his thoughts on Netflix's Cowboy Bebop, to which he revealed that he was, to say the least, not a fan. Quote, for the new Netflix live action adaptation, they sent me a video to review and check. It started with a scene in a casino. So this is one of the first scenes. This is actually one of the first scenes you see, which made it very tough for me to continue. This is the first scene of the first episode. And he's like, I can't watch this. This is trash. I'm glad it's gone. I stopped there and only saw the opening scene. Yeah, it's because the only one cool thing about the show, okay, 2. Jet Black, absolutely perfect casting in my opinion. He sounds exactly like Jet Black from the show. Number 2, the opening scene, they use the same music, which is great, right? The whole like jazz music that they used was really, really good. It was clearly not Cowboy Bebop, and I realized at the point that if I wasn't involved, it would not be Cowboy Bebop, he added. I felt that maybe I should have done this, although the value of the original anime is somehow far higher now. Yeah, exactly. And this is the thing I'm really like hate about like Hollywood. Take something that's really good, really grounded, that everyone loves, bastardize that shit.
Throw it out of
We're
the
gonna
window.
ruin it for you, right?
Mhm.
Like it's just like, oh, like Death Note ruined, right? And
Uh-huh.
they're already, and Netflix is already coming out with One Piece. I heard My Hero Academia is coming out, and I heard Naruto is gonna be coming out too. So I'm
Ugh.
just like, dude,
Yeah.
stop, freaking stop, man! It's time to stop, right? I wish I had that meme with the guy with the giant clock. It's time to stop. Bro, also in the game, Joel doesn't give a damn about his brother. In fact, he was so shocked to see him. One might
Yeah.
guess he believes his brother was dead. Yeah, because
Yeah, I tackled that in my episode 1 review. It's like I am not sure what if I like this interpretation of Tommy. It's like it's so kind of it's significantly different from the Tommy we know in the games. Like
mhm,
because in the TV series they make him because in the games, right, he's very composed, much more composed than Joel. He thinks more critically. Here he seems like the more criminal type. Like he's more careless. He's more easily provoked because Joel had to pick him up in the precinct because he got into a fight in the TV series.
yes,
So yeah, I wasn't sure if I was a fan of like that's not really Tommy. Maybe you can argue he is in the second game. He's kind of like that in the second game, but in the first game, he's definitely not. He's like he's calm, he's composed, he's really a leader. But here is like he's the careless criminal who'll get into a fight with anyone as long as he gets provoked or he's not getting his way. That's what they're implying him to be. And then I actually kind of gave it a positive tone in episode 2 with the battery, with regards to the batteries you mentioned. The
mhm,
batteries at the time, I was under the mindset that Joel and Tess in the games were just in it for profit. And then I reasoned out in my reviews like at least here, they had a purpose in mind to rescue Tommy wherever he may be. So
mhm.
I looked at it at a good side, but I didn't consider what you said just earlier about the guns thing. So I might need to
Yeah,
reconsider that a little bit.
yeah. I'm actually gonna start posting. I'm actually gonna start showing the comments as I read them. It might be easier for people who are in the chat. All right. One thing I'll say about the actor for Tommy, he actually really likes The Last of Us and nails the acting part, but the direction and writing for him is gross. Yeah.
Mhm.
I believe I don't know his name, but I know that he played Robbie Reyes, the Ghost Rider, in I think Agents of Shield, and
Okay.
he was also the T-1000 in the Terminator: The Dark Fate, right? So I actually do like him. I think what he's cast in this one, like it could be like different, and it's just yeah, it's not, it doesn't feel like the game, and I don't know, like it it sort of makes me feel in terms of like Joel, he's like, oh god, I need to look out for my deadbeat brother again, and he's like, oh, I need to take care of him. I'm the only one he's got, and it's sort of, yeah, I think I think that that's how they're changing stuff up, right? And plus I think Neil Druckmann already said season 2 is going to be on part 2.
Yep. Yep.
So
I read that. I read
yeah,
that.
yeah, Gabriel Luna, yeah, thank you, Anona
Yep.
Mouse, good name. Yeah, Gabriel Luna. I actually do like him because I actually that's the reason why I actually went to go watch Agents of Shield, because I watched the first season. I was like, no, I don't really like this, and then I watched Ghost
Yeah,
Rider. And then,
I think that's where that's the peak of Agents of Shield. After until Ghost Rider. After that,
yeah,
it kind of went downhill for me.
yeah. After the Ghost Rider thing, I'm like, is Ghost Rider gonna? He came out for like he came in for like half a season, and
Yeah,
then maybe they're like, oh, he's too expensive, right? Because
probably,
like
probably.
the animation of his skull like coming
Yeah,
off and
yeah,
stuff like that,
yeah.
and but yeah, so let's continue with this. Not only did Watanabe share his distaste for Netflix adaptation, but he also opened up about his general opposition to the Hollywood machine. Absolutely, yeah. This needs to be talked about. Back on the anime. Oh, he worked on the Animatrix. Oh shit, I love the Animatrix. Back on the Animatrix, I got to work with people in Hollywood. Said the director, reflecting on the short of the animated The Matrix anthology kid story. Working with those kinds of people is always
It's
difficult.
always difficult.
Oh, right here. Yeah, difficult. And plus it's also a different culture. Like Japan is very conservative and
Uh-huh.
very reserved,
Mhm.
and they don't like and majority of the time they don't like trouble, so they usually just agree with this kind of stuff. Even though they don't agree with how things are handled, they will still agree. Is because they're actually like they're very like polite, right? They do their best not to like sort of make people upset. This is because at the beginning they promised me that I could do whatever I want, but that was just lip service. Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely. Like, oh, you can
Yep.
do whatever you want. Oh, but let's
I
change the
believe
terms.
that. I believe
Yeah.
that for sure.
Yeah. So I was shaking when Abby walked into the room and told Joe it's golfing time.
Death to the males.
Yeah. Oh man. So Grae, so you're playing part 2 right now. How are you liking the game?
Yeah. Yeah. I have a lot to say on that. At
W-
first,
without giving too much away, that because I know you're gonna make a video on it.
yeah, it's still
In
ongoing.
short.
It's still ongoing. Uh, if you look past the story, it's actually a really good game.
Mhm.
Just yeah, that sounds controversial, I know, but you need to get past that controversial scene. But it's everything else is good. It's solid. That's basically in a nutshell. Yeah, I don't want to elaborate more, but that's in a nutshell what I think of The Last of Us Part 2. Especially now, you can get it for like $10 if you wait for the
Mhm.
sale. So that's a really good price for the game.
So according to what I know about it, like I've seen the big story beats of what happened.
Mhm.
I think the whole you play as Abby.
Mhm.
I think I think that's fine. Like playing as her, but I think what happened to Joel happened too early in the game.
Yes.
I think if it happened like 3/4 into the game,
Yeah.
3/4 into the game, and that happens, and the player doesn't know
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
coming, I think that would have been a bigger impact. It's sort of like when you
Yes.
start off, if you watch Logan and he dies within the first like 15 minutes,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
then all of a sudden, and the person, and it's sort of like the person that killed Wolverine was the person that like you thought was the main character. It's like oh, it's actually X-23 that kills him. He's like, what? It's like what? I've been following Wolverine for like a decade. You know, like I've been following Wolverine for like 15 years. Wait, what? You can't just do this. It's sort of that. I think that's the thing. I think what they did with him to sort of what happened to Joe, and plus, of course, this game came out several years ago. I think it's, I think it's okay that they did it. It's because it's like it's a dog eat dog world. That shit
Yeah.
happens,
Yeah. Yep.
right?
Yep.
But I think if they sort of respected the fans a little bit more and have it happen later on, it would have been 100% way better and
Yeah.
more. It's like how long did it take? How long did it take for the first game and the second game? The difference, like 9 years, 8 years difference. Like sort of like how
Somewhere
long did it
like
take?
somewhere along that range, I think. If not a little lower, but I'm pretty
Mhm.
sure it's somewhere around that range. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Which I think if I were gonna bet, that's what Neil would change. The sequence of events for season 2.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
what he would change.
I hope so. Is because the thing is that if people already know it's coming, it's like, oh, you know,
Yeah.
and the thing is that like this is the first time we're actually getting something that's like this is pretty good. Like
Mhm.
like for adaptation from video game to a TV show or movie, this is actually pretty good because
Yeah.
everything else that we got was crap, right? And it's just like like another video game thing, another video game thing. The only thing that I would say that's pretty good is Sonic. Just remove all the humans and it'll be good, right? We don't need any more of the humans. Just have them go into like Green Hill Zone and stuff. But yeah. All right. I think there's a distinction with the visual storytelling medium of anime that particularly doesn't come across well in live action as classic American comics. Uh I do agree because I remember I was watching the Corridor Crew and what's it called again? They had these things like 3D modelers react to bad 3D animation. Visual effects reacts and so like that. So they have one for animation. And they had a guy who like who worked in animation for quite some time. He looked like an older guy. And he says animation in Japanese media and American media or medium is completely different. Is because American media is more about the story and the character. It's more about the character and the story than anything else. And versus Japanese is more about the feeling, right? And
Yeah,
that's the reason
yeah,
why it's like, how can like that's where the sub versus dub argument comes in, right? It's like, are you a
yeah.
sub guy or are you a dub guy? I am 80% sub guy, 20% dub, because some dubs are good. I think Dragon Ball is one of the very standout ones. I think Cowboy Bebop is pretty good, and a couple of the other ones that are really good. There's some really really good voice actors, right? But in terms of Japanese, you cannot, the feeling and emotion you get from
Uh,
the Japanese ones. Like I
yeah.
remember watching My Hero Academia,
Mhm.
and there's a scene where All Might is fighting against All for One, and I watched the comparison between when he did his United States of Smash. You felt it when the Japanese actor went in. You freaking felt it. You felt that in like your dick, right? You're like, oh fuck, he's going in. He's fucking going in, and you're like, you want to scream with him. That's how hyped that shit was. No fault to Christopher Sabat. Okay, no, it's a Christopher or whatever Sabat. Okay, I think that's his name. Um, Sabat is very, very good at what he does, and he voices All Might. Okay, but it's a little different. You're like, it's good, but I'm missing something, and that's where Japanese anime comes in. And how can you translate that into live action? Right? There's not a lot of things where you're like you can just be in your tree. You're like, ah! Like when Goku's charging up, the guy who voices him in the American one, he does an amazing job. But like, can you translate that in live action? Right? Can you get the same feel? And that's where Hollywood, especially Hollywood, does not get that across. It's more about, about the character, and it's about the backgrounds and stuff like that. So
Mhm. Yeah.
it's these that's why when you compare like TV show, you have times to flesh things out, right? But
Yes.
you're still not going to get that feel. And that's the reason why, if he was like closely involved with it, it could have been a lot better. But the thing is
Mhm.
that like Hollywood's not going to give you that opportunity. It's like, oh, we're just going to take your IP and we're just going to
And do
bastardize
whatever
it.
we want with it. Yeah.
Yep. But yeah, sorry, I rambled on for a little bit.
Yeah. And it's a point worth elaborating
Mhm.
still, because it still keeps on happening over and over again.
Yeah. Let's see. Well, at least we will get Pedro Pascal's head exploding. well, well, the thing is that like, I wonder if they're actually okay. So here's the thing. A lot of people originally, myself included, when the scene came out, when everyone's like, "Oh my god, did you see what happened when what they did with Joel in part two?" I originally thought Abby was trans. I originally thought she was trans, and then of
Uh,
course later on it's confirmed that she's not.
she's not. She's not.
I wonder if they might have the opportunity to change that here, or it's because you want to be more inclusive,
Uh,
right? I'm not sure, like, because there are people who's like, do you have a trans representation? They're gonna ask, right? You already have a lesbian, right? Someone part of the LGBT, but you need someone from no, you need someone. You have the L. You have the L. You're gonna need someone from the T, and like they're gonna want representation. It's like, oh, are you gonna have a trans person in here? Because they already had one in Cowboy Bebop, right? So like, are you gonna have one for this? So we'll see. We'll see, right? Uh, in my opinion, the cinematography just hasn't figured out how to translate anime effectively yet. This is my take across the board concerning anime adaptation. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, and to the point of even when it's Japanese released live action adaptations like Attack on Titan and I think the Bleach one. I think Bleach had one too, and it's good, but it's different, right? It's different. It's like you still don't have that like crazy angles of like crazy like characters doing something, right?
Mhm.
Like Grae, did you watch Shippuden, Naruto Shippuden?
No, I didn't reach Shippuden, unfortunately. There's just too many
Dude,
episodes.
what are you doing, man?
There's, there's just too many Naruto episodes.
All right, all right. Let me show you something. There's a GIF over here. It's the infamous GIF from one of my favorite arcs, and hopefully, I I need to see this happen in real life because if it doesn't happen in a live action adaptation, what's the point? What's the point, right? So Naruto, and if my wife is in the chat, do not just she's supposed to be reacting to this in her on her Patreon. But there's a scene where Naruto is fighting against one of the Akatsuki members, and you can tell when the Japanese studios went with a different studio because they need to hype up this animation fight scene that they pay extra money for it. I forgot there's a term for it, and the scene will go down in infamy because the animation is so wonky, but I love it. It's because as a person who graduated from an animation degree, I love when characters are stretched as much as they can. And this is one of the drawings that if you freeze frame it, these are some of the drawings that you see. See that? You see how crazy and stretched this animation. If you freeze frame it, it looks insane. It looks freaking insane, right? So I'm going to share this tab. Like, if you freeze frame this, my pain is greater than yours. You need to see this actually in animation. In animation, it looks fucking amazing, right? It looks so good. Let's see if I can. There it is.
Oh, there.
Right. Okay,
Yeah.
you see that? You see how good this animation is? It's insane, but it looks like can you translate from anime to live action with this? You can't. You cannot do that.
Yeah,
Even
I
in
get
3D, you possibly can get away from some crazy shit, but that's why I love 2D animation.
Yeah, not in that proportion.
Yeah,
not
it's
to
like
that
my
degree.
pain is greater than yours, and it's like he's going so fast, his face is about to get ripped off, right? And there's a scene that if you cut it, like if you stop it, he looks like a horse, so just amazing. But yeah, sorry, sorry, got carried away. All right, so let's go back to this one right over here. But yes, yeah. So actually, I had a big altercation with a Hollywood producer on an animatrix, Watanabe recounted. He would always come with these stupid requests just so he can identify his own contribution. As the requests were stupid and made no sense, I rejected all of them. Unfortunately, I couldn't win in this situation, so I had to concede to some of these things. It's like, yeah, it's like what it's because they're the one who's fronting the money, and most likely it's American producers. Even though you are the animator or the filmmaker, there's always going to be producers or the showrunners or the people who's putting in the money that are gonna want to put their freaking dick in the fucking same pool and shit. So
they think theirs they have a bet. They think their take is better, and then that's where it begins.
Yeah, like as a person who works in the creative field, like majority of the time, of course, we try to please the people who are like making the request. For example, if they're like, hey, can we get Ant-Man with this? And then we do it. And it's like, oh, actually, can we also add this in too? And they sort of try to give you direction. And even though they have no art background, they have no art experience, they try to give you direction. It's because they think that their input is important. Okay. Don't get me wrong. Their input is important, but if it comes down to it, it doesn't look good, like I'm not gonna do it. I remember one time, he is actually my executive producer now. He was he wanted to add something. He's like, hey, we want to change this up. We want to add this character on this data pad. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, oh, just put the character on top, the roster portrait, just put him on top. I'm like, this is gonna look ugly. And it's like, yeah, but this is what he wants. And he's like, during that time, he's like pretty high up already. Now he's like even higher. And it's like, you have to do it. I was like, how about this? As an artist, how about if I put like a little border around him? And so it makes it look more like an icon versus like it's just a floating head. And then like I pushed back on it. And my art director's like, okay, yeah, do that. And then we did it, and it was a success. Because if I went ahead with the decision that this producer wanted,
initial decision, yeah.
yeah, then it will not look good. But the thing is that sometimes you need to, as an artist, you need to be able to push back on some things. Like even with me, like, so I did the concept art for my game for Beast and Rhino, right? So those are the two concept arts that I did for the game that I eventually modeled. There's some things that we can actually push back with Marvel. It's like, hey, Rhino doesn't look like this and stuff like that, and then we're like, oh, the reason why we're thinking about making him look like this, and that's the reason why we went with this way. And you can actually push back a little bit, and it's actually okay for you to do that as a creative. And because we're working with a producer, we're working with a person who owns the IP, and look, we understand. But sometimes the people who has no like art for eye, they want to put a little bit in it, is because they want to say, we did something too. We did this. I did this, or whatever, right? Sorry. That was just just like me
sharing your
talking.
experience.
Yeah.
It's fine.
In Japan, you sometimes get producers that are similar to American ones. You also sometimes find good producers in America. The original producer of the animation was a really good guy. He understood my work and didn't give me stupid requests. However, he had to leave due to family issues. But his successor, called Spencer Lamb, was awful. He like called him out.
Name drop. Name drop.
Yeah, so we know not to ever work with this guy. So many requests, he frustratingly stated, change this, change that. It was always frustrating. And if these requests were coming in from the Wachowskis, I would at least respect that, as because they came with the Matrix. So who was this new producer compared to that? He explained that he was the gatekeeper to the Wachowskis, and unless he could be convinced, he wouldn't bring my work to them. Yeah. So here's the thing.
Yeah.
I actually I think it's fine. That I'll just based on NDA, I won't say too much. But there's a couple games that I worked on that was originally that was actually canceled. Right, this game was canceled. It's because I think something happened. However, there was a gatekeeper. Right, it was like we want to make this really really cool art. But then the producer was like, no, I think you should change it. I think you should change it. It's because this producer was the only person that has contact with like the original creator of this IP. So you need to these are the producers that sort of needs to be sort of like they need to learn, or you can't work with them. And the thing is that the producers are actually, even though they don't do any of the creative work, they actually hold a lot of power. It's because producers move up the chain of ladder or the chain a lot quicker than artists do. And like you can get a producer, like a associate producer that you worked with in this project, and all of a sudden 5 years later they're running the entire project of a new IP, right? Like a very good example is a person that I worked with. I interned at Nickelodeon in 2010, 2011, no, 2012. I interned at Nickelodeon, and I interned with this girl. And I think she was like, and then afterwards she became an associate producer, and then within 3 years she's running her show. She becomes like a manager, and she was in charge of the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle like animated series.
Wow.
Like super cartoony one. She became the manager. I'm like, whoa. And for me, like, I'm barely like moving up the chain to become an artist. It's because producers are they go up a lot faster. So that's the reason why in the art industry, the animation tech industry, any kind of like creative tech industry, art or animation or games, everyone knows everyone. So the thing is that, like, if one person says that, oh, this producer is crap, or this artist is hard to work with, you will get blacklisted like instantly. If you are a hard person to work with. That's one thing, right? Like getting hired, the first thing they ask is like how they don't ask if this person is a good artist. They don't ask if this person is good at what they do. They ask if this person good to work with. Are they cool? Right.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
But yeah. Let's see. Wow, there's a lot of let's see. Hollywood is now concentrating on story. They are, but the thing is that they're also putting in a lot of things.
She said another comment before. I don't think Hollywood is now concentrating on story.
Oh, I don't think. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, I don't think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. They. I think if they are, they're not. They're concentrating on their own agenda of their story. they're like, we need to change this to fit the modern day storytelling, right? We need to do this. We need to change this to change modern, for the modern audience. And the people who are originally loving these IPs, it's not for us anymore, right? But let's see. Neil started following this woman on Instagram who started trending and looked like Abby, so she might have been casted. Yeah, it could be, right? Since they already announced that this is already it's already happening, it could be true, right? Let's see. Let's do one more. I guess they have steady supply of testosterone.
Yeah, that's actually in the back of my mind. If ever when you mentioned earlier they needed a T, it's like it's not isn't really sustainable in a post-apocalyptic world. That's what that was at the back of my mind.
Mm.
Like
Yeah,
it's not feasible.
sorry, I'm just cracking up.
Yeah.
Sorry. The handling of situation, Watanabe said that when I went to Los Angeles for the recording sessions, I told the team that if I saw that producer, I would just punch him in the face. The producers ended up not coming to the recordings, which is unheard of. He's like, I'm gonna punch the shit out of you. Well, the thing is that, like, if you have one person, like, you are the sole creator of this show, this big thing that everyone loves, and then you have this producer that's like stopping your every move, or gatekeeping you from like getting your story across, because this is your story. Like, I can definitely see why, right? Let's see. Of course, Watanabe is far from the first Japanese creator to express massive disappointment in the West's handling of their creations. Oh shit, the Dragon Ball. Okay, here we go. Most notable among the creators, the original Dragon Ball mangaka Akira Toriyama, who after witnessing the James Wong disaster that was Dragon Ball Evolution, felt the need to produce Dragon Ball Super in order to undo the damage of live action outing did to his legacy. Yes.
Legacy.
Right? Because after Dragon Ball GT, Dragon Ball GT, there was nothing Dragon Ball related. So the only thing that people were able to get that's Dragon Ball related was the video games. There was no manga, there was nothing. So that was his legacy. The last thing was a live action adaptation of Dragon Ball, and it sucks. And the thing is, it sucks so bad, it was number 1 on IMDb until recently. Even until recently, because Velma is worse. Thanks for checking out this segment of the Project Eggroll podcast. If you like what we do here, please like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and you will know next time when we go live. We do go live every Saturday at 8 p.m. Once again, we are just getting started. Tons of more video to come. Thanks, and we'll see you guys next time.